Welcome back to another episode of Lucid Daily, the number one spot for Lucid news and information. Let's go ahead and get started. We have quite a bit we need to go through today. We'll be going over the earnings call in detail and exactly what I think about what was said and my reaction to it. So let's go ahead and get started. First off, Lucid was down 13.7% today, and that is probably due to less than stellar earnings, and we'll talk about that a lot later. So Tesla was also down about 0.7%. They are up 0.02%, so Tesla was relatively flat today. Rivian was down 8%, down 0.76 in the after hours. I'm surprised they're not down more, especially after the news I'm about to share about Rivian. You have the SPY that was down about 1.5%. So these EV companies pretty much followed the market today. Rivian fell a little harder than normal, but oh well. So Sawyer Merritt tweeted out that Rivian announced the dual motor and smaller battery options. However, the Rivian R1T's price is increasing 17%, which will increase the base cost from $67,500 to approximately $78,975. The R1S will see a whopping 20% price increase, bringing the new base price from $70,000 to $84,000. There are a lot of Rivian owners or reservation holders that are not too happy about this, but that's enough about Rivian. Let's dive into the fourth quarter and fiscal year 2021 earnings of Lucid. I went ahead and got the transcript, and I took a handful of notes on things that I think are very important that every single investor should know. Now keep this in mind. I love following Lucid. Big fan of Lucid, and long term I think that they will succeed and they are going to do great. But it is also my job, and it is one of the reasons that I started this channel, is to be able to talk freely about Lucid, not buying into the hype, but also not being super bearish, just kind of giving middle of the road information and telling you how it is. So I'm going to go ahead and give you my thoughts on the Lucid earnings call. I'll go over some screenshots and details. I have the transcript so everybody can see it, and I will be discussing a handful of things that I think that we should all talk about. And I will say, after 24 hours of kind of marinating in these earnings, I was not the happiest. I was not as happy as I wish I could have been when it came to Lucid's earnings, but let's go ahead and get into why. So they start off by saying the end of 2021, this included 125 cars in the hands of customers. They had projected 520. They delivered 125. I pretty much knew for a while. The first few months I thought they were going to hit it, but then after a while, after seeing the amount of deliveries, I kind of assumed that they were not going to hit it. They've produced about 400 vehicles in total, and they've delivered about 300 of those to date. So from February, whenever they started producing, to February 28th, 300 are in customers' hands. They have 400 waiting, more than likely, for fit and finish. I don't know that for sure. And this next part that I have highlighted in orange is something that if you invest into Lucid, you are going to have to understand. And this is going to be a little bit of a difficult pill to swallow for those that want to compare Lucid to Tesla. But here's one of the major differences. Not to bag on Tesla at all. I'm a major shareholder. Tesla holds the majority part of my portfolio. So I'm kind of judging both of them here. It says, we could have chosen to build faster, but we elected not to sacrifice quality, given our unwavering commitment to the highest standards. So quality is something that a lot of people have not loved about Tesla, but Tesla puts up big numbers. And granted, the point of this video is not to compare the two companies. The point of this video is to compare Lucid to where they were a quarter ago and to see where they compared themselves. And we'll talk about that. But just investing into Lucid, you have to understand that they are going to prioritize quality of cars over number of cars. You're going to have to understand that. It's going to take me a while to figure that out too. So one of the good pieces of news that came out is that they are seeing a higher demand for the Grand Touring than they are for it says here, in fact, the demand for Grand Touring at $139,000 is even higher than our lower price Touring model. So it's a little interesting to see the separation reservations numbers. He did not provide exact reservation numbers of each model, so it'll be interesting to see that going forward. Next. So as of today, we have over 25,000 reservations for the Lucid Air, representing 47% increase from our 17,000 reservations in mid-November. I do not think demand will be an issue for Lucid. I think as more cars get on the road, as more people test drive it, you will see a higher demand in reservations. Good news. And here was something interesting that I heard in the earnings call, and I wanted to double check before I talked about it. He talks about the Lucid Dream Edition was heavily oversubscribed and is completely sold out, and they continue to see strong demand across our highest performance product tiers, and actually we're considering how to best address this demand. I don't know what Peter Rawlinson is planning, if they're going to introduce like a slight step below the Dream Edition, or some sort of car that has the Dream Edition performance but it's not a Dream Edition. I don't know, but I think he wishes that they had made more Dream Edition than 520. I don't know. That's just kind of my speculation on that. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Next, this was probably the biggest dagger of the earnings call, and as an investor, was for me personally, I was not happy about this. That's just my opinion. People may have understood, like you can understand, but as an investor, this kind of set back. I think it was like a 30% reduction in what they had estimated. So above, I have highlighted in orange. We've updated our 2022 production outlook for Lucid Air to a range of 12,000 to 14,000 vehicles. Now check out the screenshot down below. This is from their last earnings call like 3 months ago. Heading into 2022, we remain committed to our plan to achieve 20,000 units in the calendar year. However, they did kind of give a mini disclaimer to this is not without risk. So as an investor, we're not, in my opinion, we're not going to see the returns on Lucid that we thought we were going to see in 2022. So that's just what I think what a lot of people are going to have to wake up to is that we're not going to see Lucid go on this insane run when they have a 37% reduction in what they had previously stated 3 months before. So that's just my opinion. I would love to hear you guys' thoughts down in the comments, but they did in October, I believe it was either October or November. I can't remember when the earnings call was exactly. I believe it was November. They had planned to achieve 20,000 units, and then a couple months later, they said, actually, we're going to do 12 to 14,000. So it's just going to be a hard year for 2022 for Lucid, and they are a little bit behind where they thought they were going to be. So that's it. As long as you're okay with that, we're going to continue. Next, it says they now accept, this is another minor dagger. We now expect Gravity production to begin in the first half of 2024. They had previously expected at the end of 2023, so they're pushing it out probably another 3 to 6 months. And then again, I have highlighted here, they just want to ensure commitment to their high quality standards. Again, you're going to have to remember this as a Lucid investor. They're going to pick quality of cars over quantity of cars for the time being. Just keep that in mind. Next, they have $6.2 billion in cash on hand, which ensures they are funded well into 2023, and they have multiple options for additional funding to further solidify their position. So basically what that means is they say we're good until 2023, but investors need to expect that we will raise money. I imagine within the next 24 months, they will be raising money. So keep that in mind as well. We expect to remain supply constrained in selected parts of the business in the coming months and project improvement in the second half of the year. So again, they are going to see basically this means Q2 earnings are going to be rough. That's what they're saying here because they're not going to see improvements until the second half of the year. So that's just something as an investor you need to keep in mind. Again, I feel like it's a responsibility of me on this channel to provide the information how it's written, and that's why I have all the screenshots here. I don't want to overhype the earnings worse than they were, but I also don't want to downplay them as bad as they have been downplayed. So there was a handful of good things, but there was also quite a bit of bad things that were mentioned in this earnings call that investors were not expecting. And then they're still, as of right now, from what I understood from this context was a little complicated, but they're still expecting to produce 53,000 Lucid Airs by the end of 2023. So if they can, like as an investor, if they could, you can never promise things in the investing world, but if they could guarantee or promise that, hey, we're only going to do 12 to 14,000 in 2022, but in 2023 we promise we're going to do 53,000, fine. If you want to do if it takes you time to vertically integrate your things, I get it. That's okay. But the jump from 12 to 14,000 to 53,000, that's a big jump in production. So I'm going to be extremely interested to watch Lucid during that ramp because that's going to be a very quick ramp and we should be seeing a ton of cars out there in 2023. Next, they said they've actually started making Grand Tourings and that they also will have the Touring and Pure later this year, and they have a mix of healthy orders in between. For some reason, Lucid just does not want to release how much reservations they have per. I don't know why. So this question I thought was interesting. This is actually a little bit of a clarification of some FUD that I've been seeing regarding this. Is this guy asks, he's like, hey, Charles said, hey, you were expecting to spend $900 million in 2022, and now you're spending $2 billion. Doesn't that seem like a pretty big acceleration in capital expenditure? And Sherry House, the CFO, if I'm not mistaken, said that they were planning to spend closer to $900 million in 2021, But before they did that in June, they actually only ended up spending 421 million. So they're rolling that extra 500,000 over. So she says, I believe it is closer to 1.3 billion originally, and now we're bringing in that extra 500 million. So it's a little bit of accounting that they're using here. I'm not going to get too far into the weeds on that just because I don't understand it perfectly. But basically, they're saying they're rolling over their budget that they didn't use from the previous quarters or years. And then next, we also have this question that was asked by Ollie. He said, when do you expect to finish Dream Edition deliveries and start delivering Grand Touring the Grand Touring trend? Peter Rawlinson responded, well, we've actually started delivering Grand Tourings, which was a shock to me. I did not know they had started. I have not seen any pictures or any outside of this. There's not been any official indication of it. And he did not answer the question about when they're going to finish the Dream Edition deliveries. So that was a little frustrated. I wish he could have given a little bit more of a direct answer to that question, but oh well. So again, guys, I am extremely excited for Lucid. I remain optimistic for Lucid's future, and I am looking forward to it. However, this earnings call was less than what I expected. I was pretty frustrated from the revision down from 20,000 vehicles, and I imagine most investors are. However, I do remain optimistic for the future, and especially if they can hit that 53,000 vehicles in 2023, that'll be absolutely incredible, and that quickly of a ramp will be revolutionary. Not many companies have been able to ramp from 12 to 14 to 53. So it's either going to be an incredible achievement or it's going to be a glorious failure. So I remain optimistic. 2022, it sounds like it's going to be a rough year, especially the Q2 earnings from what I heard. But again, I don't want you to think that I'm like super bearish. I just try to give this information how it's read. I feel like most people feel how I felt. Maybe I felt a little stronger about the miss of the 20,000 estimates. I just felt a slight rug pull from Lucid a little bit, saying last quarter, hey, we're still expecting 20,000. It's a big risk, but we're still expecting it. And then to have this quarter be like, we're going to do 12 to 14,000. It was just kind of frustrating as an investor. That's just my opinion. You can agree to disagree. I don't care. But I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I hope you guys appreciate my honest opinion of it, not trying to hype it up, but also not trying to push it down. I just try to give the information how it is and try to clarify and answer things in the best way possible. So please let me know if I was wrong on anything down in the comments. I'd love to chat with you guys down there. I appreciate all the support thus far. I hope you guys have a great rest of your evening. And like always, see you next time. Happy investing.